Do women get paid less? Welcome back to the realm of curiosities. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most argued about statistics in modern society, the gender pay gap. You have probably heard claims like this: women earn 80 cents for every dollar earned by men. And you may have heard the opposite response. That statistic is completely fake. Men and women doing the same job are paid the same. Interestingly, both statements can be misleading. So what does the gender pay gap actually measure? Let's start with the number itself. In 2024, the European Union's unadjusted gender pay gap was about 11%. In the United States, recent government data show women working full-time had median weekly earnings around 82% of men's. But this does not mean an average company pays a man $100 and a woman $82 for doing exactly the same job for exactly the same hours. That is the first major misunderstanding. The headline gender pay gap usually compares the earnings of large groups of working men with large groups of working women. It does not automatically control for occupation, experience, working hours, seniority, education, or job responsibility. And those differences matter. Men and women are not distributed evenly across the labor market. Men are more heavily represented in some higher-paying fields, including certain engineering, construction, and technical occupations. Women are more heavily represented in areas such as education, healthcare, and caring professions. Even within the same industry, men and women may work different jobs, different hours, or reach different levels of seniority. So if you adjust for those differences, the pay gap usually becomes smaller. And this is where some people conclude the gender pay gap has been debunked. But that conclusion goes too far as well. Because now we have to ask another question. Why do those differences exist in the first place? One major factor is parenthood. Before having children, the earnings of men and women can be considerably closer. After children arrive, women are still much more likely in many countries to reduce working hours, take longer periods away from employment, or take on a larger share of unpaid childcare. That can mean fewer hours worked, slower career progression, and less accumulated experience. Over several years, relatively small differences can become substantial. Researchers sometimes refer to this as the motherhood penalty. Interestingly, fathers do not always experience the same effect. In some labor markets, fathers actually earn more on average than comparable men without children. Another factor is the type of work people choose, or are encouraged to choose. Occupational segregation sounds complicated, but it simply means men and women tend to cluster in different professions. And those professions are not paid equally. The difficult question is why. Personal preference certainly plays a role, but so can education, culture, expectations about family life, working conditions, and opportunities available earlier in life. Then there is discrimination. This is the part of the debate that is hardest to measure. Researchers can statistically compare workers with similar education, occupations, and experience. If a remaining difference exists, it is sometimes called an adjusted or unexplained gap. But unexplained does not automatically mean discrimination. It means the information available to the researchers cannot fully explain the difference. There may be factors that were not measured. But discrimination can also be one of those factors. This is why claiming that the entire gender pay gap is caused by sexism is inaccurate. But claiming that discrimination can play no role because the adjusted gap is smaller is also unsupported. There is another complication. Different statistics measure completely different things. One study might compare hourly pay. Another might compare weekly earnings. Another might compare annual income. Annual income can produce a larger gap because it also captures differences in working hours and periods spent outside employment. Hourly earnings remove some of that effect. Even the word average matters. Using the mean can be heavily influenced by a relatively small number of extremely high earners. Using the median compares the person in the middle. That is why two perfectly legitimate studies can produce different gender pay gap numbers without either one being fraudulent. They may simply be answering different questions. So, is the gender pay gap real? Yes. If we ask, do men and women earn different amounts on average? The data clearly show that they do in most countries. But if we ask, are women routinely being paid 20% less than men for performing the identical job under identical conditions? The headline gender pay gap statistic does not prove that. Those are two different questions. And perhaps that is why this argument never seems to end. One side looks at the headline gap and assumes it measures direct unequal pay. The other side explains part of the gap through occupations, hours, and career choices, and assumes the entire issue disappears. The reality is less convenient for both arguments. The gender pay gap is real. Its causes are complicated. Some come from different jobs and working patterns. Some are connected to parenthood and unpaid care. Some may reflect individual choices, and some may reflect unequal opportunities or discrimination. The statistic itself cannot tell us how much each explanation contributes. It can only show us where the difference begins. And that is an important lesson whenever you see a controversial statistic online. Before arguing about whether a number is true, first ask what the number is actually measuring.